Welcome back, gang. It's Delty from DeltyIsGaming.com, and I'm going to do a quick video, maybe not so quick, on add-ons for One Tamriel. What I'm using, how I set them up, because I'm getting about 10 questions in every video and about 5 emails a day. So let's go over this for One Tamriel. Console folks, I'm sorry that this is just for PC folks with add-ons, but I'm getting a lot of questions, so I'm going to get it done. Also, I'm going to be releasing the second part of my Butcher build, and the reason I haven't came out with it, it just takes a lot of editing to make it a really high quality video. So I can do this video real quick, and then the end of the week we'll have a full big old Butcher video for you. So let's get started with ESO Addons for One Tamriel. Alright, let's go over the two heavy hitters for combat that I use, and that's LUI and then BuffTimers. So BuffTimers, you guys asked me a lot of questions about it. It's on the left-hand side of my screen, and it has specific buffs that I want to maintain. So this guy's kind of set up for PvP right now, so we're going to change some of these buffs. So what I need to be aware of as a Magic Templar in PvP, a bunch of different things. This is kind of a DPS setup. So the number one thing is Major Sorcery. So I'm going to need to maintain that buff with Entropy or Potions. So we're going to go in here, BuffTimers. You can set the number of bars that you want, so you can have a whole lot of them if you want. You can set the default notification time, so essentially when the buff comes down to 1 second, it'll notify you. So let's go here to buff number 1. Minor Berserk, I was using that for combat prayer, but I'm not going to be running that anymore. So what you do is you just literally type in the buff. So for me, I'm not using structured entropy. I want to know when my major sorcery. So that can come from a variety of sources. It can come from structured entropy. It can come from Dragon Knight using igneous weapons. It can come from my potion, but I want to know when it's up at all times. So major sorcery. I can't spell, so this takes me a lot of time. Okay, so then you go to the notification threshold. So I'm going to have this tell me when it's at 2 seconds, and I'm going to do 2 just in case I have to bar swap or potion soft cooldown. You can also make it do a sound as well, so let's just do it for the sake of it. So money transaction. Show text notification, so you can do hot dog. I mean, you can do whatever you want, and it'll tell you when that buff's about to be run out. So now on the combat prayer icon right over here, you'll see it change once I actually use the buff, if I spelled it right. And I spelled it right, yay! So you're going to get scoriaed, and you'll see it come down and what it does once it's low. So about 1 second here. So it made the money sound and hot dog came up on my screen. So I know, hey, I should probably recast Major Sorcery. So you can do all sorts of crazy different ones if you want. So some of these that I'll use, you can do Caltrops. To do the base ability like Caltrops instead of Razor Caltrops for it to show. You can also do like Major Mending. You can do specific procs on gear. So for instance, if let's say you're using Ravager gear, which procs and it gives you like 600 weapon damage, it'll actually show you that on one of these buffs. So the basic thing that you do is you actually get that thing to proc, and then if you want to know the name of it, you simply just go in your character screen and go into your buffs, and it'll tell you that way. So for this character, what I would do is I'd set up my Major Sorcerer. I need to know that. Depending on what ultimate I'm using, I need to go Major Mending, and if I want some more AoE, I put Proxy Dead on here, so I'll use that. And sometimes I even do Elusive Mist, and so that way I know when my 4-second buff's about to be up, if I need to dodge roll out of it for PvP, or how long my Devouring Swarm is. But you can basically do anything. The key word that you're looking for when you're doing it's self buffs, so ground-based buffs. So if you look at Elemental Drain, it's going to apply a reduction in spell resistance to a target. It's not going to give you that information. That's why I use LUI, because that is a debuff. It's only buffs for you and ground-based AoEs. So when I say ground-based AoEs, Elemental Blockade. It'll also do Extended Ritual or Richer Retribution, those things. So LUI is the other thing I use for other buffs. So let's go to that. Settings, Add-ons, LUI. This thing has a lot of detail. So the basic first couple things that I do is I disable the default player frame and the default target frame. This will kind of make it so the LUI's frames will take over. I've just gotten used to where it shows my resources and so forth. And then the info panel, this thing will have some helpful information, but I turn that off as it gets clunky. Combat information, show cooldowns, which is nice. And some of this other stuff I use. Cloud type area text, I don't have that on. I really do think that's clunky. I like the scroll type area text for damage. So that's useful for me to kind of see where I'm going, though it does kind of fall behind. And so FTC can do the same thing for you if you like that better. And then it shows what type of values you want to show. Healing over time, incoming healing, AP gain, Telvar, all sorts of different stuff. It has alert thresholds. One that's helpful is execute. So if I'm on a Magplar and I'm using Beam and the guy's at, 40% health, which is 40% of their health is usually optimal beam time, you can set it to tell you that. And tell you when you're in and out of combat, which can be helpful as well. But buff and debuff tracking is where I like it. You can also change the window and reset it to where you want, but I like it right where it is, below my character or above my character, depending. Long-term effects. So if we don't want to know if we have vampire, werewolf, or a Munda stone, you can turn that off, disguise, so on. But usually this information is helpful, especially when you're playing against other players. So if I see them have vampire, I know that they're going to take more damage from Dawnbreaker or Smiting. So I leave that stuff on. More information is better for me, usually. Damage meter, I turn this off because I use FTCs, just since that's kind of like the universal thing that a lot of players do. Chat options, I turn this on because it will tell you basically everything you do, which kind of clogs up my chat. And as far as the frames, really I don't mess around with the frames too much. If you're a Sork, it can get you some nice information about your shields and show you different shield bars. So if you're stacking shields, it can like give you two different ways to see which shields are up, like Harness Magicka and Harden Ward. So that's nice. But I don't really mess with any of this stuff. But really I use LUI to show my buffs. So you can see right here, what LUI does is it has the buffs right here, Major Mending. And then BuffTimers just has it really big and nice. The thing about BuffTimers that I like is just the notification, and it's so big. For old guys like me, once you're playing, I have like 30 buffs up, and you're in a raid, and there's just a million of them. It's just so hard to see the really key important ones. So what I do when I'm setting up my character is some of these you can control. So if someone gives you a combat prayer and gives you minor berserk, well, I can't control that, but I can control my extended ritual, my ritual of retribution, my proxy debt, my major sorcery. So those are the ones that I set up here in BuffTimers, and I let LUI capture the other ones. Also, LUI captures debuffs. So when I say debuffs, ooh, Columbine, we can't skip that, sorry. Something that you apply to the enemy. So an example of this would be Structured Entropy. So you'll see here, as the Quama gets vaporized, Structured Entropy on the right-hand side. It'll show like right here, and you'll see that countdown. So when I'm doing DPS or doing some of these things, I'm paying attention to my buffs and the guy's debuffs. So I'm looking here, and it'll show my debuffs too. You see this right here? So my buffs are down here, my debuffs are right here. The character's buffs are below, and the character's debuffs are above. So when you're doing DPS, you have to be aware of your buffs on the left-hand side, and the player's debuffs. Hot dog. Well, you need to apply major sorcery. Okay, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense for you guys. Let's go on to the other add-ons that I use and what I use them for. AUI is how I get my bar set up the way they are. So I have on the right hand side I have my skills, on the left hand side I have my consumables. It's pretty easy to set up, and I have a separate add-on video for AUI, but basically what I use on it is just the action bars. So the MiniMap, I have a separate add-on for that. Unit frames, I use LUI. Combat, I use LUI. Buffs, I use LUI. So I just like the action bar. The reason I like it is I can keybind, you see down there, my consumables. So on this character, it's not that important, but when I'm playing PvP and I have a bunch of different siege I use, stone traps for walls, fire blister for anti-personnel, oils and so forth, it's a lot easier to do that, and especially since I run just a whole lot of different potions. So AUI, great for my bottom. It looks like an MMO, and that's why I use that. AwesomeGuildStore here is a helpful add-on if you're trying to find a specific item. So if you come to like a guild trader here, and you open it up, it shows this huge little inventory thing. So Master Merchant is a separate add-on that shows what I've sold and where I've sold it from, and then how much money I'm making per week. And it's just really incredible for those folks that like to make a lot of gold. So on the AwesomeGuildStore side of things, you have up here in histories of what you search. So if like I'm looking for something very specific, like let's just say vicious death. We've vicious. Did I spell it right? Hopefully I did. And then you start search, and then you can kind of hit the vicious death that you have in this thing. Just notice that sometimes you have to hit show more results for it to actually work properly. I don't know why, but at least you can search through with key text instead of just a massive amount of inventory items. You can also cut it down to if you were looking for a gold or a legendary item, what level, so on and so forth. So AwesomeGuildStore, great for searching for individual things. Cloud Combat is pretty simple, and what I use it for is really just a couple notifications. So if we go into add-ons, Cloud Combat can do a lot for you. It can tell you your damage, your healing, but really I like a couple different things for this, and that's just the notification. The most useful one is Cleanse. So you'll see that pop up on my screen sometimes in my videos, and that means I have a debuff on me. So specifically when I'm playing my Magic Templar, I know that I need to use Extended Ritual or Ritual Retribution to get off those negative defects for me. And then also I like it since it shows my alliance points. I don't really need experience points since I have a billion champion points, but the alliance points is really helpful. Also, you can set thresholds for low magic, low stam, when your ultimate's up, and potion, and you can include sounds with that. So it really just helps you in combat a lot more for like an old guy like me that needs, you know, notifications when I'm out of stuff and I can't pay attention to a whole lot of things, especially health. So like a sound specifically, and you can set it so like, you know, oh, I need to heal myself, or oh, I'm running out of magic. It just makes it a lot helpful. Destinations is incredible add-on. It tells you where Werewolf Vampire is. It tells you Ailey Dwells in Serial, achievements, points of interest. I mean, and it's got a nice massive update. So like it changes the icons, but it tells you pretty much everything. Delves, group bosses, dolmens, like not having this add-on when I play consoles is a huge reason why I don't play consoles, because this add-on specifically is so helpful. So thank you for who made this add-on and all of them. Dolgunbon's Lazy Writ Creator is awesome on PC. Basically, I do writs on pretty much 12 characters every day. That's how I get my legendary materials. And all you do is once you set this up, you walk up to the writ, get the writ, you go up to your crafting station, and it basically automatically does it. If it's alchemy and you have potions in your bank, it will pull them out once you go to your banker. Enchanting, it pulls them out of your inventory and creates them as well. This is so helpful for me, for a guy that does a lot of writs every day, especially since they're different. So it's incredible for those crafters like to do writs. Dressing Room is a super helpful add-on that saves your items and your skill bars. So the basic thing you got to do with Dressing Room is you go to add-ons, you go to Dressing Room, and show with skill window. You turn that on, and you can even actually go into your control add-on keybinds. I'll show you here. Dressing Room 1 and 2. So the way I do this is basically when I'm doing like VMA or something, and I have like something specific that like a skill that I want to take on and off. So like let's say I want to do more damage in VMA. So I have caltrops on one and I have my siphoning attacks on another. I can actually click it and it switches it for me. See that? So like if I'm doing a boss round and I really want to like do a massive burn, I just need all out DPS. Boom, I click that key and now I have caltrops, so I can do a much bigger burn on it. And that's Dressing Room add-on. It's super helpful for folks that have like a million different things. Dustman's is a really nice add-on for those that don't want to deal with junk. And essentially what it does is it remembers item marked as junk, and it will sell crap that you don't want to deal with. So if there's like, you don't want to decon white items or whatever, it will automatically sell them for you. So every time you go to a vendor, and it will remember every character if they mark junk. So if you have a bunch of potions that, you know, is taking up space and you just mark them as junk, it remembers that on every single character. So every time you go to a merchant, it will sell off that junk, saving you a lot of time. Foundry Tactical Combat, the only thing I use this for anymore is the damage statistics window. You can also use CombatMetrics, so I'm going to show you as well, but that's what I like for the damage statistics. So if you do damage, it comes up with this nice little report. It tells you where your damage sources are from, and you guys have probably seen it on a bunch of different videos. All right, so we're going to show you FTC versus CombatMetrics here, and FTC is really simple and it's effective, but if you really want really juicy information, you got to go with CombatMetrics. So let's just go kill these little tater tots here. Dawnbreaker, woo! Die, fools. Okay, and you come back, and I'm going to pull out FTC. So 3-second parse. Oh my god, I'm so good. And it kind of shows you where it comes from, how much damage it did, crit, so on. Looks pretty good, right? Boom! CombatMetrics. The thing CombatMetrics does better, one of them, is it shows every single source of damage. So it'll show your poison and your poison damage, it'll show weapon enchants, and it shows buffs. So minor endurance. When I'm trying to fine-tune my DPS and I'm seeing if I'm maintaining my buffs properly, this is what I use to kind of determine that. Because a lot of the times when I'm doing DPS, I don't know how often or how frequent my buffs are up. So for instance, like minor endurance, minor berserk, if I was seeing in VMA, if I was keeping my 8% damage buff up, I would look at this after a fight, let's say the final boss in round 1. That's going to lead me to bigger improvements. It also does healing done, damage taken, received. It's an ultra helpful add-on for folks that are really trying to improve their DPS. ESO databases. Now, Wohler told me about this. He gave me a little add-on thing on my website so you can see the pledges daily. So shout out to him for allowing me to have that. And it's ESO Leaderboards, his website. Essentially what this add-on does is it keeps tabs of your character and like stores a bunch of statistical information on his website so we can kind of see what's going on in the game. It's giving a long time statistical information for players' purposes. It can show your VMA leaderboard scores, how much hours you've played, how much gold you have, your inventory. It can make signatures for you. So if you're really trying to help out the community and get some information, think about downloading ESODatabase.com. You don't really have to do much, but just having it on there is super helpful. So all you PvP Zerglings out there like me, when I'm doing PvP and I'm not leading the group, there's a couple add-ons that's really helpful to kind of follow where the crown goes. And this is called PapCrown that makes the big crown over the head. And there's also another one called Exterminate Group Lead that shows little reticles based on where you need to go. I don't know why it's not showing right now, but either way, those two things can be really helpful when you're doing PvP and kind of in a group. You need to follow the crown. This GodSend add-on right here is somewhat helpful if you're managing a guild and you need to send messages out to everyone. Not everyone reads the message of the day within their guild, and this will actually allow you to send mails to every single person, or individual groups like ranks. So if you wanted to send mail to all your officers or each individual, this is a helpful add-on for that. Harvest maps all the way down to harvest merge. Essentially what this does is it keeps track of all the stuff that you're finding, like all these gathering nodes, and has a nice little pin. So let me see if it will show this one. Come on, Kuda. And nothing. Usually it'll put down a pin right there. And why that's useful is while you're going around gathering nodes, it'll show you where nodes could possibly be. Also, it keeps track of like treasure chests, the thieves, little troves things. So for those little crazy people that love going around getting nodes like I do, especially these little aspects runes, harvest maps is for you. There's also a new one called HarvestMap Merge, and what this does is it keeps track of like everyone's nodes and plots them like every single possible node you could find. There's a lot of details in this, like you can separate it based on color, specifically what you want. So let's go in here, add-ons, harvest map. So you can see you can open harvest merge and merge them all together, and then you can set what you want. So you can put colors for specific pins. Like if you don't want blacksmithing, I usually just do like enchanting. I don't do alchemy because there's so many. I do chest, solvents I don't worry about, heavy sacks, oh yeah, thieves troves, just the containers. So it's incredible. So once I turn enchanting on, look, it tells me where it is. So when you're going around crafting, they get in those nodes, like in Kraglorn, trying to get that Nern Crux, is just super, super helpful. Item grid view, talked about that. Item borders just puts like gold, purple, or whatever it is. Item saver, that's kind of in-game right now, but you can just get this add-on and it saves and remembers for all your character, which I like. Kill counter is a PvP add-on that kind of tells me, you know, how I'm doing, my kill death ratio, how many kills I had, who I killed the most, who's killed me the most. The nice thing about this is if you do /KC report, it will tell you how much AP you've gained in a session. Books, what can you say about this add-on? It's absolutely incredible for getting the Mages Guild leveled. On consoles, it is an utter nightmare to do the Mages Guild book, so thank you for creating the lore books. I turned this off once my person has reached Mages Guild 10 because I've got all the Mages Guild books before on my main character, so I don't worry about that. Lost Treasure is a really nice add-on for those folks trying to do the treasure maps or the crafting Writ surveys. It will actually put a big red X on your map for you, so that's really handy. Master Merchant basically pulls data from all your guild stores and can tell you how much an item's worth. So like if we go here and we look at something, it's worth something right here, Darkstripe Belt. So it'll tell you that there's been 3 sales in 44 days and they're roughly 1,000 gold. And so it kind of gives you an idea of what you should sell your stuff for. And what's the high, what's low, what's average, how many sales will tell you if it's a hot item or not. So especially like selling, let's say like crafting material. So let's go to Ancestor Silk. So you can see that there's been a lot of sales in 32 days and they're kind of all over the place, some high, some low. You got some outliers, but it really tells you the average price should be 51.880 gold. Now, the more crafting or trade guilds that you're in, the more accurate this becomes. So I'm only in one Elder Scrolls Exchange, and that's where it pulls its data from, your guilds. MiniMap, I like this add-on here, and I put it down in the corner, though it can see some performance decreases, but it's really nice and helpful. MultiCraft just basically does exactly what it says. It crafts the max speed that you possibly could. So if you're making a bunch of potions, it's nice. My build is a good add-on for like just encapsulating all of your build statistics. So when I'm working with folks trying to help them out on their builds, if you go in here and you download the add-on and you go to my build. So show my build. Let's bind it to F11. When I click it, and so it'll show you like all your gear, your Mundus Stone, your race, your attributes, your recovery, your CP. So if I'm trying to do like a pimp my build for someone, this gives me an idea of what they're wearing, how effective their gear is, and where they stand with their build to start. No thank you is just an add-on that like covers up annoying little notifications. So like if you don't want a big huge message like so-and-so has grabbed the scroll from Nemok, it'll do that, or leaderboard. PapCrown we talked about. Potion Maker I don't really use because I know the recipes offhand. RaidNotifier is another really good one for PvE players. So if we go in here, add-ons and RaidNotifier, it basically has alerts for super helpful like trial situations. So in the Hell Raw Citadel, let's say you're stoned, where you're not supposed to hit a synergy or you'll kill everyone. It'll tell you if you're stoned. You can also set it to all. So like if I'm raid leading for Hell Raw, I'll put this on all so I can say, hey Jimmy, you're stoned. Don't use a synergy, you'll kill us and we'll have to make fun of you. Or Sanctum of Phidia, there's just tons of stuff. Vet Maw, this really helped me get through Vet Maw, Rakat. So like knowing where the orbs are, like if you're buffed or near or all, I usually set it to all so I can call out to see, you know, who's on it. And even Vet Maelstrom Arena, super helpful add-on for PvE players. Research Assistant and Research Grid. This is useful for when you're kind of on the come up here and you're learning the research resources. This is the resource grid. The nice thing about it is I maxed out on every single thing, but it tells you like your motifs, like what you're missing. So like I'm missing a lot of stuff. I did get the Celestial though. Why? Yeah, see, I won the raffle, baby. Oh, that's Celestial. Anyways, you're not here to watch that. So this is helpful for those folks trying to learn their traits. And also it tells you like individual characters. So let's say you don't have one guy that just knows it all like I do. And you go to little Donald Crunk here and he knows this. And you got to go woodworking. You can go to clothing. It's really helpful for those trying to get that maxed out. LUA memory. I do like this because it sets my memory at a certain length, or a certain amount I should say, and so I set it at the max, about 2 gigs. So I sometimes have 32 gigs of RAM, so I don't have any lag. Skyshards, obviously it shows you where Skyshards are. The nice thing about it is you can turn it on and off to basically show you the ones that you have or have not got. I think I've got like almost every single one in the game on this guy. Where have I found one that I don't have? Oh, here we go. So One Imperial City. So right here, and you can make it so the ones you don't have will be in black, the ones that you do have are in white. Really helpful. Well, gang, I hope that information was helpful to you. You've been getting me a lot of questions about it, so I'll probably link this video in the description of my other videos so you can just kind of see what I'm using. So on. Sorry for the console folks that don't get anything out of this video, but a lot of PC players are asking me for it, so yeah, I'm going to do it. Next up, going to be working on finishing the good old Butcher, getting the T3 done. Going to be working on my Magplar and my Mag Templar. So yes, I will be finishing those builds, but there's only so much time in the day, gang. So just try to be patient with me. It takes a lot of time to get these videos done and edited, as I spend a lot more time editing and trying to get the information clear and concise to you. Thanks so much for watching, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time. LTSgaming.com, and in this video we're talking Magic Sorc for One Tamriel. I've been playing my Sorc non-stop since the update and got some useful information to share. This video will be covering the Sorc in great detail, skills and morphs, swapping them in and out depending on the situation, gear with option for folks without best in slot, CP Mundus Stone, Vampire, yay or nay, and racial choices. Lastly, detailed explanation of the sorcerer rotation and how to get the most bang for your buck. Ready to frag our way to One Tamriel? Let's talk the Sorky Porky.